one of the things I wanted to kind of touch back on was what it means to be a man. John Michael, knowing you and being friends with you for a while, I have seen personally, like you and Elijah, you did some rites of passages with your kids. Can you maybe jump into that and maybe teach some of these guys how they could do that in different stages of their kids' lives?
Yeah. So just right off the bat, guys, you got to remember you're in charge. You're the captain of the ship. Oh, can I do this? Can I do that? Bro, you make up the rules. You make up all the stages. You make up whatever you want. You're leading these kids. Nobody knows anything until somebody just makes something up. Think about the public school system. It has such like an honor and a reverence, like first grade, second grade, third grade. Like, who made this crap up? Like, we're just used to it. I'm not mad about it. I'm just saying somebody just made some crap up one day and everybody's like, all right, it's a system. It works. So fair enough. You can do the same thing when you're leveling up your kids. So what I've done with my boys, I only have sons, but I have different stages that I move them into. So my 7-year-old Hudson, he's just a little boy. That's all he is. He has not moved into any phase or stage yet. The first phase, the first stage he will be moved into, though, is mature boyhood. So my middle son, Brock, he is in mature boyhood right now. My oldest son, Elijah, he is in young manhood. So they go from little boy, and then there's a day where I move them into mature boyhood. And then after the mature boyhood season, I'll move them into young manhood. And then there will be a day where I tell him, not the government, not their birthday, but there will be a day where his father says, now you are a man, and it will mean something. So that's how I've chosen to do it. I've worked with clients who have daughters, and we do it differently with them. And it should be different. There are different expectations for young men and young women as they mature. We're not pointing them to the same target. We're not pointing our kids toward adulthood. We're pointing our sons to manhood and our daughters to womanhood, not humanhood or adulthood.
Right.
So, I'm sorry, I haven't been paying attention to the chat. I need to do a better job reading along in the chat, because I was like, is the chat public? Can everybody see the chat? Was I not supposed to acknowledge the chat?
There's 2 chat. Yeah, there's comments, and then we got our private chat. So
yeah, okay.
That's how I was just talking to each other.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, I don't know if you can publicly share, like maybe if you put a chart together of some of those progressions, that's really interesting.
Yeah, but the point I was going to make is, like, I've done it at different ages with the other two. So Elijah, he was born as like an old man. The dude was like 3 years old, and he's just like wise and weird and wonderful.
Full beard.
Right. Yeah. Just like, so I moved him into mature boyhood at, I think, age 9. But what we do is we mark the occasion. Now, you can make this work with any budget, so nobody gets to feel sorry for themselves and nobody gets to get out of this if you want to do this. But what needs to happen is it needs to be quality time with daddy. And, maybe you can get away. I think with him at our first one, my aunt was out of town and we just went and stayed at her house. So we got away from his mama and his brothers, and me and him just got away. We watched a couple man movies. But what's happening is there's some lessons that I'm putting into him. And there's a theme for this upcoming season in his life, something I want him to focus on and think about for the upcoming season of mature boyhood. Hey, you're not a little boy anymore. Here's what that means. And there's privilege that comes with this new season, maybe a little bit later bedtime, maybe something else, but there's responsibility that comes with this new season. These are the chores you're going to be doing. This is what I expect of you. So he's being knighted. He's being called up, and he's being encouraged. There's a gift that goes along with it. Maybe it's his first pocket knife, whatever. You can come up with something significant. But like I said, then there's a theme that I'm telling him, this is the focus. So Brock, who's in mature boyhood right now, he's moved out of boyhood into mature boyhood. Brock, the theme I gave him was always give it your all. So I'm looking at the weaknesses in my sons and I'm going, okay, what does this little boy need to hear? Hey, son, I need you to always give it your all. I see a character flaw in you. I see a weakness in you. And by the grace of God, you're going to grow out of this. So I want to see you focus on always giving it your all. That's the mission. That's the season that you're coming into for the next few years. So anyway, Elijah, I determined he was ready for young manhood. So he went into mature boyhood at 9. And then at age 13, I determined he was ready for young manhood. And the other part is they have to do something challenging, some sort of physical thing. Again, for a daughter, I would not have done this. But for a young man, I wanted to do something scary, something difficult. So I had him do like a ropes course, a big scary ropes course for one of them. Forget what the other one was. But then for my oldest, when he came into young manhood, there is a lighthouse out here in the Chesapeake Bay it's called a floating lighthouse, but it's not floating. It's anchored into the bay. But his big challenge was he had to jump off of it. It was something I did when I was a teenager, and I took him out there and he had to jump off of it. But that was a weekend. We camped out on the beach. He got a new cool knife and a lot of lessons. But I also made a long list with him of, this is all the stuff you have to do before you're a man. And I tell you when you're a man. And it's a lot there. I mean, it's a lot on it. Like, it's hefty. It's not easy. He's got to get his blue belt in jiu-jitsu. He's barely got one stripe as a white belt. He's got a long journey there. He's got all kinds of, he's got to start a business. He's got to have so much money saved. He's got to kill and harvest a deer. There's a bunch. I can't even remember off the top of my head everything that's there, but change of tires on the list, all kinds of stuff like that. But there will come a day, and I'm meeting with him to work through these things and make sure we're actually hitting milestones and moving forward over the coming years. And then there's going to come a day where I tell him he's a man. But the point is, guys, like, all my details don't matter. What matters is it comes out of your heart. There's books, there's resources, but you could get lost in perfection instead of like, dude, what do you like? What do you care about? What kind of things do you want for your son? What kind of things? If I had daughters, Natalie would be more involved in this process heavily. But specifically because it's sons, I extract them from their mother, and I tell her, hey, when he comes back, he's going to be a mature boy. And she makes over him when they come back. Oh, my mature boy. Their chest all swelled up. Or, oh, my young man. And I said, hey, this is a young man now. I'm naming him. I'm telling him I'm saying what grade he's in.
That's amazing.
Because that's who I am.
Huge.
I'm his head. I'm responsible for him. I'm knighting him in this new season. So the point is, you can do whatever the heck you want, but just be deliberate. You can pick the age. You can pick the stage. You can make it super budget friendly, but it's going to take some work, which I always say, welcome to leadership.
Yeah.
I don't know any dads doing this. I know a bunch of dads who mostly let the wife take care of most of that stuff, and boys, girls, whatever it is. And this is like just wonderful hearing this, because it's such a fun, I'm getting excited just thinking about stuff that I want to do with my little guy. It's so fun.
Have fun with it, man.
Yeah.
Well, and I wanted to like kind of highlight one of the elements of it that you like really drew out too is like, especially with boys and men, right? We really appreciate a symbol, right? We're very tangible creatures.
You want badges, or hang on.
Well, yeah. So like Napoleon boasted he can make a man do anything for a scrap of ribbon. I mean, look at it. Look at the military. Look at all the crazy things people go through to get a Ranger tab, or all these other, these honors. And like, like the military coin tradition is a huge thing. And like, just giving a soldier a coin for doing something good, like even as a grown adult, you just see them light up, and so especially with sons, take that seriously, like whether it's a knife or something else. That symbol, it may seem a little silly, but because it came from you, it's going to mean a ton. And there's a book called Wild at Heart, I think is a great example of kind of John Michael, what you were just talking about, kind of the passage of boyhood to manhood. But Dustin, I agree with you. Like it's a completely lost art. It used to be a cultural thing, right? Like if you go way back into kind of like tribal societies, the boys had to go out with the men and learn how to hunt and bring back the food to the tribe and all those kinds of things. And it used to just be an ingrained thing in society. And now with the lives we live in the modern era with technology and everything, it's kind of men are just watered down. Boys are watered down to a thing with different anatomy.
It's the live androgyny, and it's even being proud of androgyny. It's being proud of it. He can play with that. She can play with that. We're proud of it. We're proud that there's no distinctions. Meanwhile, God rejoices in the distinctions he's made. He loves mountains and he loves valleys. He loves deserts and he loves oceans. He loves light and dark. He loves hard and soft. He loves hot and cold. And we go, let's flatten it all. And it's the spirit of the age. It is Satan. It is satanic. And it's an effort, again, to distort and pervert what God calls good.
Yeah, it's like when everyone's special, no one is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, and what's sad now is like the rites of passage that kids are getting passively is driver's license, who's going to drink when they can drink, and cell phones. And I mean, like,
Yeah.
what is that putting in a kid's mind?
Yeah.
There's no goal, no direction. The parents are not the ones that the kids are oriented to. They're peer oriented. And so then you show them the 5 direct
Wow.
friends that they have. And it's like,
It's like,
those 5
Yeah.
kids are going to be the ones that mold your kid into something.
that's a great
That's-
point. Think about the demonic rite of passage that Satan has created. First porn exposure. Like these are the new rites of passage.
Yeah.
Which
first sexual
statistically,
encounter.
the first exposure is 7 to 8 years old now, by the way.
Oh God.
Yep.
Not
So,
surprising.
Too young.
so like
Yeah.
my
Porn
daughter's age.
exposure,
is
first sexual
right there.
encounter, first drug use. Like these are the modern rites of passage.
Yeah.
And those are the things that people celebrate the most.
Right.
And like some parents even support it. Like let their kids, if you're going to party at my house or party with me. It's like, what are you doing? You know,
Yeah.
you're just like
Yeah.
giving them the free range, handing them a gun that they've never used and saying, go have fun.
Yeah.